Hello, and welcome back to Left Undone Incomplete Investigations. If you're new here, please know that my channel is a little bit different than all the rest. My name is Kathy, and I'm a registered nurse, but I have this passion for true crime. To me, it's an important platform to spread the word. When we spread the word of true crimes, we have to remember these are real people with real lives. I believe that there is some really good stuff that we can do with our YouTube platform, but I also believe we can do harm, and my mission is to do no harms. This video today is about the Orrin and Orson West case. We're going to talk about facts. Welcome to Left Undone Incomplete Investigations. I'm Kathryn. The definition of a fact? Well, let me look it up for you. A fact is a noun, a thing that is known or proved to be true. Information used as evidence as part of a report or news article. And the third definition, when it is in regards to law, the truth about events as opposed to interpretation. Now, everyone has the right to interpret things, but again, fact check video. That's what this one is. As far as the facts of the Orrin and Orson West case, that's what I want to talk about. What is a known fact to law enforcement and to the general public?
Search continues for two toddlers from California City who were reported missing on Monday night. And now the FBI is involved in the search as well as the Kern County Sheriff's Office. 3- and 4-year-olds Orrin and Orson West, who are on your screen right now, they were reported missing around 5 p.m. yesterday. A search warrant was served at their foster parents' house today in Cal City, and the foster parents are still at police headquarters as of Tuesday.
First of all, we know Orrin and Orson West are missing from their home. They've been missing since December 21st, 2020. They were reported missing by their adopted parents, Trezell and Jacqueline West. Orrin and Orson are the youngest of 6 children, 2 biological, 2 fosters, and they are both adopted. The 4 older siblings were not at home at the time that Orrin and Orson went missing. They were with their grandparents. Trezell and Jacqueline sent the boys outside to play with chalk so Jacqueline could wrap presents on the late afternoon of December 21st, 2020. Trezell was collecting firewood from the field next door to build a fire when he noticed the boys were missing. Trezell went inside to ask Jacqueline if she had the boys with her. When he discovered that they were not inside, he searched the neighborhood and then called law enforcement. He had searched the neighborhood in his van and then went far enough out around the area where they could have gone on foot within a short period of time, and then he came back and they called law enforcement. After all the searches that law enforcement has done in the West's home, they have found nothing to connect Jacqueline and Trezell to any type of foul play with their own children, Orrin and Orson. Now let's get a little bit more into some other information regarding what we do know, what is and hasn't been said, and the facts of the matter when it comes to that stuff. Definition of foul play. I want to clear that up too as well. Foul play does not specifically mean that a murder has occurred. Foul play is also unlawful or dishonest behavior in particular. It could be violent crimes resulting in another person's death. Chief Jon Walker of the California City Police Department did make mention that he believes foul play has happened in this case. However, He also made mention that kidnapping is also considered foul play. So he's not specifically saying these children were murdered. He said something shady went on that he considers foul play. The fact of the matter is, no matter what people are putting out there, no matter what background check of the wrong person they have found, the Wests do not have any criminal record in the public database. Nothing. Not Jacqueline and not Trezell West. This is Trezell, and as you can see, when I go to criminal and traffic, there's nothing. Relatives, Jacqueline. And again, criminal and traffic, there's nothing. We are talking about Orrin and Orson West. These children went missing in December of 2020, December 21st, 2020. 6 weeks ago. And they have not been found since. They've not been seen since. And there is no evidence that they have been murdered. None. The boys were, in fact, witnessed to be in that California City home. So that is a fact. Even Chief Walker has made mention of this now. Neighbors have made mention of this now. But the rumor is still flying around there, and people are still saying, I feel like they never made it out of Bakersfield. The fact of the matter is, they did. Chief Walker has said this, and so have neighbors.
And to the boys at this location, possibly.
Yes.
And none of the neighbors have seen these boys at the location, if I'm correct.
No, that's not correct, actually. A neighbor, a couple of neighbors, their cameras have witnessed the boys being here, but they never have witnessed the boys leaving. That would be correct.
But they've really...
You mentioned that you go from the inside out. You expanded to the neighborhood. Initially, you guys spoke to all the neighbors in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Did they mention any sightings of the boys?
Once they went missing?
Yes.
No.
And I recall at the time we spoke, you said that there was no sighting of the boys ever since they were there in September.
Originally, the neighbors we did contact said that they had no knowledge there were kids in the house, but since then we have had neighbors come forward and say that they did have knowledge that there were children staying in the house.
So neighbors had knowledge there was children in the home, but there was never a positive ID of Orrin or Orson, right?
No. Or any of the kids for that matter.
So none of the kids have ever been positively ID'd, but there has been neighbors that told you, hey, we were aware that there were children in the home.
Yes, that is a correct statement.
Okay. Now I'm asking.
The biological mom, her name is Ryan Dean. She has gone on and made many conflicting statements. That is a fact. She has. But she said she doesn't know them, which is not true. She does know them. She had visitation when the kids were their foster children before they were adopted. When they were still classic and sincere and they were in the foster system, she was able to visit them, and she does know the Wests.
I don't know them. And we knocked on the door, and it took them a minute to come, and he came out. And he want to say he's sorry and all that. I just don't feel in my heart that it's something. They're not.
Do you have a relationship with these parents?
I don't know them. I don't know them. And I know I told them my last visit, in the visits prior to that, I said, when these kids used to be with her, they were fatter. My kids are skinny. They used to cry when they picked them up.
Trezell when he mentioned in his press conference that he was throwing wood. Throwing wood is an old farmer's term. It means throwing wood over your shoulder. That's the origin of that. He never said he was throwing wood over the fence. People have gone on and on and on in the groups, on YouTube, on the channels, and said, oh my gosh, he was throwing wood over the fence. He could have hurt some of the children over on the other side of the fence. He never said he was throwing it over the fence. Fact. There was ample wood. There wasn't huge logs. They don't live in the rainforest. They don't live in the woods. They live in the desert. The amount of wood that you would have to gather is quite a few more twigs and sticks and branches, but there's no big old oak trees. There's no giant sequoias. There's nothing like that in the middle of the California desert. It is sticks, twigs, and skinny trees. And there was quite a bit. If you look at both lots next door, you can gather quite a bit of wood to have a fire for a couple of hours, maybe from 5 to 7 p.m. while you're sitting around the Christmas tree. I mean, it was Christmas time. There was a Christmas tree up.
This is the lot. It's like a public empty lot near the house. And this is where the infamous gate where the kids supposedly went missing.
Next fact. How far toddlers could travel on foot in the time frame that Trezell was actually in the house or had his eyes off of them. That has been lined out by other YouTubers. I know Mike on Profiling Evil has made an excellent map of where Trezell would have driven in the 6 minutes he was gone. And I also believe that in that 6 minutes, you're going to drive about as far as you think that the toddlers could get away on foot. Away from the gate on the other side of the house that is not visible to the neighbor's camera that was initially put out there. And that was how far the police also searched. It was corroborated by the police department that this would be the amount of time that a toddler could get away on foot. Besides the fact that dogs generally won't bark at someone they know, someone they're familiar with, oftentimes they won't bark. That dog that we saw them walking in Bakersfield last week on another YouTube video didn't even bark at the other dogs and did not bark at all the people standing around. So when people say, if a stranger came and took them, what if it wasn't a stranger? What if it was somebody they actually knew? That dog might have known that person and not barked. Didn't even bark at strangers though. Remember that. Despite the denials, the Vallow family actually did vandalize the home of Jacqueline and Trezell. Their brand new home that they just bought, and they moved in with their 6 children. People were out there chanting, screaming, "Where are the boys?" throwing rocks, and those children could have been inside when that happened and got hurt.
Yeah. People are busting their windows. People are.
I think people related with the kids, like.
Yeah.
This family, the real family, and I think the guy is not in custody too.
No, I heard they're cooperating.
I see a couple times come around here.
Yeah.
Mike on Profiling Evil points out what is not being said is what we should pay attention to. He's not saying who the investigation has led them to as a person of interest. On another note, people have blasted the California City Police Department for being a small department without resources. However, we do know that, as Jon Walker has said, there are other agencies investigating the case. And we do know the FBI is involved.
And just to be clear, I understand there's multiple agencies involved. Are all those agencies still involved? Can you name them for me?
Right now, the most participation now is between us, Bakersfield PD, Kern County DA. We still are in with the FBI. So those are probably the four main ones right now.
Jon Walker has also said there are no discrepancies in the timeline that Trezell and Jacqueline gave them of what they were doing versus when the children went missing. That was corroborated later in an interview and with the neighbors' footage.
So there seems to be a bit of a discrepancy of when the kids were reported missing. So when you guys responded to the parents' home, the adoptive parents' home, Trezell and Jacqueline West, when did they tell you they noticed the kids go missing?
The timeline that we received from them is the kids had been gone 15 to 20 minutes prior to them making the call to us. So they noticed the kids gone, they searched the house, they searched the immediate area, and I believe Trezell actually got in his car and went searching in his car, came back. When they came to the realization they needed help, they called us.
So you're saying from the moment they noticed Orson and Orrin West go missing, they told you that it was within 15 to 20 minutes of that time that they called police?
Per their statement, that's correct.
What time exactly did police get a call for service?
The call got dispatched at 17:43, which would be 5:43 p.m. in the evening.
Okay.
On Monday, the 21st of December.
So you're saying that's when it was dispatched. When did the call come in? Just a few minutes prior to dispatch?
Yeah, it only took minutes once the call came in to dispatch the call out, and we were on scene within 6 minutes.
Okay, so that would be police arriving by 5:50ish.
At least, yeah.
Okay.
He also pointed out that when they start an investigation, they start from the inside and work their way out. Always, if a woman goes missing or is murdered, they always start with her significant other, right? If a child goes missing or is murdered, they always start with the immediate family. And once they clear them, they work their way out to neighbors, friends, extended family, etc., all the way out to strangers. They started on the inside, and they're still moving outward. Fact.
We spoke in the past about where police start with investigations like this, missing children's. Tell me about the nature of that.
Commonly, particularly with children, you always want to search from the inside out. You know, many times parents panic and believe their kids, ran out the door and ran down the street, which could be, but my training experience, you start from the inside out, always. So that's what occurred. My officers started from the inside. They searched the house. They searched the yards. They searched the shed in the back, and then they started to widen their search out into the neighborhood.
Got it.
He said there were mostly electronic items that were collected, and since that time, most of them have been returned to Jacqueline and Trezell. They got their phones back. Fact.
Okay. What items were collected the first time of the search warrant?
Numerous items were collected that first time through. So I'm not going to disclose exactly what we took, but mostly basic items. Mostly electronic items.
What kind of items?
Mostly electronic.
Phones,
computers. Yeah.
Okay.
iPads.
Has that since been returned to the parents?
Some of it.
Okay.
Some of it, to the best of my knowledge. I know for sure they've received their phones back.
Okay.
Scent dogs actually corroborated the Wests again, that the kids did not wander off. The scent dogs have corroborated that. They did not smell their tracks going out the gate, down the street.
In the initial search of the home, there were scent dogs used, correct?
Correct.
What was the purpose of that?
To locate the children. If they pick up the scent of the kids in the house, once they get the scent of the kids in the house, then they like us, start to widen their search. But the dogs never picked up any scent outside the house.
Can you put that in terms of why that is important to note, that there was no scent of the kids outside of the home.
It doesn't necessarily mean anything in particular, but it does lead us to believe that, the kids did not wander outside of the house. But once again, that's not necessarily, 100%. But the dogs didn't detect any scents outside the house.
These dogs are fully trained for this, correct?
Correct.
There was no extreme weather patterns that day that we know of. There wasn't extreme wind like there is now.
No.
Did you guys find that a bit alarming or of interest?
Of course. Of course.
Now, scent dogs are trained to do a particular thing. Unless they're dual trained, they're trained to do one specific thing, pick a scent, and find where it's gone.
This could indicate that they were actually picked up and carried.
Was luminol used on the vehicle?
Yes.
What does luminol detect?
I don't know how to put that in layman's terms.
What is it typically used for, luminol?
Generally blood, to the best of my knowledge.
Was there any sign of that in the van?
No.
Okay.
Luminol actually picks up it is known to be used for blood. It also picks up any substance that contains iron. If you're familiar with the Amanda Knox case, you can learn about wrongful convictions with regards to luminol. Cadaver dogs. What are cadaver dogs for? A dog that is trained to detect dead bodies. Dead bodies. Not specific individuals. They don't say, go find Orrin here, to a cadaver dog. The cadaver dogs are there to specifically look for a deceased body.
Are trained to do a particular thing. Unless they're dual trained, they're trained to do one specific thing, pick a scent, and find where it's gone. Was there any other dogs used in the home?
Yes, we had a cadaver dog come in as well.
And what are cadaver dogs trained to do?
Find dead bodies. So, none found.
They didn't detect anything at all?
No.
Okay.
Chief Walker points out that the last sightings in Bakersfield of the kids are important. Significant dates in the investigation. Think about it. We have been told the kids were actually in California City, and those dates they were seen in Bakersfield are considered significant dates. Let me ask you, where does the Bio family live? Not only do the West grandparents live in Bakersfield, but so does the Bio family.
Where was the last positive ID, hence the last time Orrin and Orson were seen?
To the best of our knowledge?
Yes.
The day that they went missing.
From the parents?
From the parents.
Now, you guys go into the neighborhood to see if anybody else has seen the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about anyone other than the adoptive parents. Was there a last positive ID of Orrin and Orson West anywhere other than California City?
Probably in Bakersfield with the grandmother.
Okay, so then the grandmother confirmed a specific date where
Yes.
she saw the kids last.
Yes.
When was that?
I'm not going to disclose that.
Okay. Has there been anybody other than family that has positively ID'd, hence seen Orrin and Orson West in Bakersfield?
I would have to review the notes, but yes.
A yes, that there has been someone other than family that
Yes.
has seen the two kids.
Yes.
Positively ID'd them.
Yes.
Can you disclose that date? to
No.
me? And for people who watch this and wonder, hey, why can't they disclose that? What is the reasoning?
Because those are significant dates, and we don't want people to start speculating, well, again, with the rumors, well, they saw him on this date, but they didn't see him on that date, so this must mean this is what happened, and that's not true. So we want to keep those dates close to the vest and those people as well.
Yeah, and I should also mention that, in the media, we're very careful with the way we portray things. We also have to be very mindful of our questions. We have
Sure.
to be
And I appreciate that.
very mindful of not alleging anything ourselves.
Right.
But if a third party looks at this investigation so far, you mentioned scent dogs going to the home, the cadaver dog, digging up the backyard to make sure the kids weren't buried there.
Correct.
Questioning the parents. That has happened, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
He mentions a person of interest. It has never been said before in the context of the Wests. Only now that Bakersfield has been mentioned in the investigation has the word person of interest come up.
It leads me to ask, it leads me first to say, it's not a surprise or secret that there is a focus in one part of the investigation on the parents, correct?
Of course.
So with that, I've asked you this before, has there been any suspect or suspects named in this case so far?
No.
Any persons of interest at this point?
Of course.
Who?
I can't disclose that.
Okay. Person or persons of interest?
I won't disclose that either.
Okay. Has anyone been arrested since the day these kids went missing?
In conjunction with this case, no. No one.
Okay. Anyone detained since the first day these kids went missing?
No.
He goes into talking about interrogation versus questioning. You know, they're splitting hairs over that, but questioning can can evolve into interrogation if there's no alibi or no corroborating evidence.
Is questioning synonymous with interrogating?
No.
What's the difference?
An interrogation, well, again, you're splitting hairs. An interrogation is, I want to know this and I want to know from you and I believe you know this information. Where this is more of, it's informative for us. Where did you see them last? What were they wearing? Where were you that day? Is there any possible way they could have done this? Is there any possible way they could have done that? It's a total different dynamic. But again, you're splitting hairs. Interrogation, questioning. Can they be synonymous? Sure.
And it's important to note that the adoptive parents, according to what you've told me in the past, they've been more than willing to come in anytime you guys have requested, correct?
Yes, they've come in multiple times, actually.
More than what, a handful, 5 times, 6 times?
3 times that I know for sure.
Okay. And
Here.
The nature of all those have just been questioning?
Yeah, follow-up questions. Like, okay, we didn't ask this last time. We're still trying to find your kids. What about these people? What about this? Were you with them here? Were you with them there? We're just trying to narrow the scope of our investigation as well, hopefully with their cooperation.
Okay.
Lie detector tests. A lie detector test is not admissible in court. You know why? Because they're not all that accurate. That's why they're not admissible. That they're not considered completely accurate. There could be extenuating circumstances that would make somebody fail a lie detector test when they're actually innocent. So in order to protect innocent people, they are not admissible in court.
Now, let's step back from this case for a second. From your experience, how many years have you had in law enforcement?
Just passing 30.
Okay, so a lot of experience, right?
A lot of experience.
Seen a lot of things.
Yes.
Worked a lot of cases.
Yes.
Okay. Well, with all that experience, are lie detector tests a useful investigative tool?
Yes. But they're not admissible in court. But are they a good tool? Sure.
Does law enforcement in California have the ability to request a lie detector test from anyone in any case?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's completely voluntary.
Here in California City, have you guys ever asked someone to take a lie detector test for
Yes.
any case?
Of course. Yes.
And what kind of cases are those where a lie detector test, you go, hey, let's see if we could ask for this?
Types of cases like this.
Okay.
We just want to confirm or deny, the credibility of someone's statement.
Types of cases like this, you say, 2 missing kids, a lot of different factors involved.
A lot.
So it's not a stretch for me to ask, did you guys ask the parents to take a lie detector test?
I'm not going to disclose that.
Not asking if they denied it, just asking if it was...
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Yes, you guys asked the parents.
Yes, we did.
And you can't tell me anything after that?
No.
Okay.
And that's all it is. It's just an investigative tool. But remember, as other channels have pointed out, if they were asked to take a polygraph, if they would have declined it, they'd probably be more of a person of interest or a suspect at this point. If they took it and passed, they'd probably be more of a like, okay, they passed, so let's keep moving on in our investigation. Think about that. So if the Wests, this is part of an investigation. Hey, mister, will you take this lie detector test? No, I want a lawyer. Spidey senses go up, right? Hey, mister, will you take this lie detector test? Sure, I've got nothing to hide. Take it, pass. We need to keep digging because this guy will easily pass this lie detector test. It's an investigative tool. It's not to be used in a court of law in front of a jury, if that makes sense. Another thing he points out about the other children, the other children are in, they aren't with the Wests at this point. They were taken from the Wests. He says when CPS wants to release them, not if. That is up to CPS, and that juvenile system to release the other children back to the Wests. It isn't up to Chief Walker. It isn't up to the Wests. It isn't up to me. It isn't up to you. It's not up to anyone but CPS. That's their job, and that's what they do, and they're the ones that get to decide when those children could go home. When you see the angry mob, people throwing rocks, people at the grandparents' house, CPS is going to be really hesitant to give back those children. I talk to social workers every day at my job. They're going to be hesitant to give back those children because other people may harm those children. Somebody has already taken 2 of the West children away. What's to say that person won't come back and take more? And, just to give you that, if the West had harmed their own children, again, another reason to be concerned, right?
Okay. In our previous conversations, you also mentioned briefly about where the other kids are. Just to confirm, there's 2 biological children of Trezell and Jacqueline West.
Correct.
4 adoptive kids in total. 2 of those were Orrin and Orson West.
The way I understand it, and the way I've been briefed on it, there was two biological children, 2 foster children, and Orrin and Orson were actually adopted. So, and then ranging in ages from 10 all the way down to 3.
Were you guys able to confirm that the day the 2 boys went missing, that the parents' other 4 children were not at the home at the time?
They were not at the home at the time. That is correct.
Where were they?
They were in Bakersfield with the grandmother.
What was the reason for that?
I think it was a holiday visit. That's the way it was explained to me.
Okay. Where are the kids now? The other parents' children, where are they now?
In foster care.
They're not being held by another family member or anything like that?
No. No.
They're all in foster care?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Ever since these kids went missing, Orrin and Orson West, the parents' other 4 children have been in foster care?
Correct.
Why?
Until we can determine what happened to the other 2 kids, and determine, well, then it's up to Children's Services when they want to release the children back to the parents.
So at this point, it's not really in authorities' hands. You guys share information with CPS. They look at the situation, and at this point, they're acting on their own and deciding what happens with the children.
Correct.
Now, they have more than just the footage that was found in the neighbor next door. They have hours and hours of doorbell cameras and other footage showing the neighborhood. Rumor on the street is The doorbell camera from across the street actually saw 6 children get in the van. I don't know if that's a fact. But that has been said.
Okay.
Obviously, Cal City PD's aware that there's surveillance footage out there, correct?
There's footage off of security cameras from the neighboring homes. That is correct.
Okay. Are you aware of what's been shown in any of the footage?
Yes. I get briefed on that daily. Again, we have hours and hours of that we're reviewing. So yes, but I get briefed.
Okay. And essentially, and we could clear up just in our last conversation, you weren't able to disclose what was in that film.
That is correct.
Okay. And that's all because it's part of the investigation, correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not able to comment whether only certain amount of kids were seen in the parents' adoptive home from the surveillance footage in the area.
No, I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay. You're not able to say whether there was a total of 6 or a total of 4 in all the days you guys have seen?
No, because then once again, it's going to cause speculation.
He also points out the investigation path has not led them to believe these kids are murdered. He says flat out no. Flat out says no. We don't have any reason to believe they've been murdered.
We're not open to the whole investigation. We have to be completely open. But however, we have to continue to follow the leads includes where they go. And if they keep going, pointing in that same direction, then we're going to keep following that path.
Has that path led you to believe that these kids are dead?
No. I have to remain optimistic and hopeful that that's not true and that it's going to lead us to where they actually are.
Well,
remember, foul play doesn't mean they're dead. It could mean kidnapping. Think about that and remember that.
Well, let me ask you, we all want to be hopeful these kids are alive.
Of course,
let's be honest.
of course.
But has your investigation led you to believe that you say foul play is involved?
I believe so, but that doesn't mean they're dead.
Okay.
Doesn't mean they're dead at all. I'm just saying my portion of the investigation at this point, how did those kids get out of that backyard? It's a big backyard, it's well fenced in. The timeline between the time that the dad said they went missing to the time that we were on scene, how far could they have gone on their own? Which leads me to believe somehow they got removed from that backyard.
He says, how did those kids get out of that backyard? His belief is somehow they got removed. His belief, somehow they got removed. Listen to the picture that's being painted. Listen and watch again if you have to.
Do you think the kids, any leads saying that they may have been kidnapped?
I'm not going to comment on that because I don't want to give you a bad answer because that's a pretty loaded question. If someone took them out of the backyard, then yeah, that would mean they were kidnapped.
And yeah, you
But no one's come forward and offered money for their return at all. So, and I believe the reward money is up to $100,000. So, but no one's come forward yet.
Any indication these kids could have been trafficked?
It's always a possibility, yeah.
The reporter asks, have the kids been kidnapped? He says, no comment. Remember, listen to what's not being said. Have the kids been kidnapped? No comment.
Do you think the kids, any leads saying that they may have been kidnapped?
I'm not going to comment on that because I don't want to give you a bad answer because that's a pretty loaded question. If someone took them out of the backyard, then yeah, that would mean they were kidnapped.
And yeah.
There's been no ransom demand. So that would indicate more that it's not a stranger. And remember my video before, most kidnapped children are from a family member. disgruntled, some issue between family members. That is most often. Ransom would be a stranger wanting money. When they do that, they hold the kids as hostages. That's not happening here. There's been no ransom. There's been no demand for ransom.
A loaded question. If someone took them out of the backyard, then yeah, that would mean they were kidnapped.
And yeah, you
But no one's come forward and offered money for their return at all. So, and I believe the reward money is up to $100,000. So, but no one's come forward yet.
He does say there's no indication that this has gone cold. There's no indication that they're running out of leads.
You know, we haven't given up. You know, we're still trying. We're still working at this thing actively. So I would hope anybody out there who has anything that can help us, we're more than willing to follow up. And we're still trying.
got it.
Chief Walker says we have eliminated the West.
In this investigation. And the chief of police for California City, who was seen searching for the boys on horseback on Saturday, is asking the public to trust the process and respect the family of the boys.
We're just trying to eliminate people, and you always start from the people closest to them, and the people who saw them last. So have we questioned them? Absolutely. Have we searched the house? Absolutely. The backyard? Absolutely. All the other rumors are just that, rumors, and they're entitled to their privacy, and they're entitled to people staying off their private property.
And again, just remember, the chief has never deviated from his narrative that he believes these children are alive and have been kidnapped. Those of you that have the ability to just pay attention and look at what is not being said and what hasn't been done can understand the path that they're following. One thing I did notice that he also said that the Wests started their conference out with is he said that he expresses appreciation for the searchers who came out the first night, and the Wests also, so it sounds like they have spoken. And people have mentioned, well, were they scripted on what to say? I would say odds are they did cover what to talk about with law enforcement before they went out and spoke with the media. And I'm sure based on the questioning, a lot of things that they had been questioned by the media were also questions asked by law enforcement. So it could have sounded scripted just based on that because they've had to repeat their story how many times. He also goes on to say they aren't in the home, they aren't in the backyard, someone knows something. And this has been the narrative all along. Someone knows something. Someone knows where those boys are and what happened to them. Then people have asked why there was no Amber Alert. There is very specific criteria for an Amber Alert. You need to have a vehicle, a person, a description, and there isn't any of that. After all the searches that law enforcement has done in the West's home, they have found nothing to connect Jacqueline and Trezell to any type of foul play with their own children, Orrin and Orson. So that's it for now. Thank you for watching Left Undone Incomplete Investigations. If you're new here and you like the channel and you're so inclined, please don't forget to give a thumbs up. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. We go live every Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Time, which is 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for watching Left Undone. I'm Kathryn. Please stay well and please stay safe. And thank you for being here.